Hi, my name is Joe Brisebois. I will be attempting to build a PC using PC Building Simulator for my IT Essentials class. Let's start with getting a case. And just look at it a bit here. Looks nice. And mostly just to do cable management later, even though the game is pretty well automatic for that. Alright. Try a motherboard here. Now here we're installing the standoffs. There usually will be a diagram or something to follow for each motherboard. We'll insert the motherboard. Usually you'll put the I/O shield first. This one I think comes already integrated, but if not, that's the first step you would put in. And then screw it in. Now another thing, before you would even do this, you would have to put your CPU in the cooler, because sometimes it would require, but in this case you have access to it in the back as well. So alright, so I'll get a power supply in there first. And then screw that in as well. Now this is 1000 watts modular, plenty of power for everything you'll be doing with this PC. Alright, so now before I do anything, put the CPU in there. No, not that. And again, with a CPU, you'll have the little arrows that you have to match up. Insert it, and then close the latch. Now, before I put the cooler in, I'm gonna plug in this wire here because sometimes it's hard to get at. Again, with this case, I don't think that would be a problem, but cables. Let's make them. Alright. And again, this game pretty well does the cable management for you, so. Alright, so this is to connect to the motherboard. Probably be the front I/O, the front buttons here. Apparently there's only one connector, but I would definitely think it's be more than that. These pins would be used. Now these are fan connectors. Now linked together. That's basically your main power, and then this would be your CPU power. This is just a case fan. Cable management for that is terrible, but it'll do. Now, for this build, I'm going to put an all-in-one cooler. So that would be and before that, thermal paste on the CPU. Okay, now that we have thermal paste, now we can put the cooler. Most coolers now have thermal paste padding underneath, but if not, put thermal paste first. Okay, all in one. Which would be that's tiny. 60. $280. Let's try something like this. Now, the only reason I do this is because for some reason in this game, if you put a triple radiator, triple fan, it'll collide with the back fan, but it will actually still work for some reason. So I put a dual, which is still should be pretty good. And sometimes there's screws on this side, but in this case, I guess not. Very strange. Okay. Now, cable. Connect the liquid cooler to your motherboard for everything to work properly. The lights, the fans, the pump. Okay, any other cables? Not for now. Okay, so here we're going to remove the first hard drive bay. And install one. Where did that piece go now? Is it done? No. Not sure where that piece goes afterwards. For some reason it's not in this list. To cover up the hard drive. Okay, so let's put a Alright, we'll do that. Now this, you have also a standoff you have to put in, then the hard drive, then a screw. Oh, okay. It just flips that one. Okay. Well, that's solved. Now I want a dedicated video card, so I'll remove some of these. Hopefully they're the right ones. Graphics card. We'll go EVGA. Alright, so tighten it up. It took 2 spots. Now again, the wiring went right through it, but alright, so you'd attach these to the power supply. Don't forget this step or your video card won't work. And now some RAM, which I should have put that before the video card, but alright. $32. Now we're gonna put 2 sticks of 16. It's a good size to start with. Alright. Gotta unclamp those first. Then it should click. Open this one. And we'll get a second stick. Make sure that they're the same kind, same speed. Now another thing that this game doesn't have is little SSD adapters for these. If they do, well, it might not be in this edition. So usually I would put a SSD, so 3.5 to 2.5 drive bay here, and then install another SSD, but instead we'll just put a regular good nice size 4 terabyte in there. Now close it. snap it in, cable it to the motherboard and to the power supply. Power supply, and then to the motherboard. Usually starting with 1 or 0. Kind of hard to see, but alright, that should work. Put our thermal paste, we have all the wiring done. Now let's put the top back on. Which is this one. And then we'll put the beauty panels, as they call it, back on. Hide all your wiring. Where's the small one? Oh, right here. Alright, and then we'll put the side panel, which is this one. Now, usually to try to keep something open just in case it doesn't boot at all, just no harm keeping the side panel open. Or these shrouds. Like, I know this shroud has SSD like mounts, but I find that it should have been, this should have been in the front, not in the back where it's blocking some of your ports there. All things to consider when you're buying a case. Alright, so everything's hidden. These are just put it aside. Alright, let's see if this boots up. Cables. I usually put cable, keyboard and mouse at the top, or as close to the top anyway. Right, so the power, make sure that this is on your area, so 115 for our voltage. Alright, and now I have to put the key. Now I forget the buttons when you turn this on. There's a second. Okay, usually I go in the BIOS, look at the temperatures, see if everything's running smoothly, the speed, check if all your RAM is there, showing your GPU, showing your M2 NVMe hard drive and your 4TB hard drive. So those are all showing. Now here's a thing I learned when I built my system, because this is pretty new to me. If you want your full 3200 or the RAM speed, you have to turn on XMP. By default, your motherboard is going to be off, so just turn it on to get your 3200 RAM speed. Here too, it's not here, but you're gonna have a game mode button, I believe. You click it to get your full CPU speed as well. I don't know if that's I know that's the case for the Ryzen, but I don't know. Maybe it's not the case for the Intel. I'm not at that level. It's quite expensive to build PCs right now, so. And my newest build is last year, so. Everything moves up fairly quickly in technology terms and everything, so. And have fun trying to find a video card. Very hard to find. Alright, and also here in the BIOS, usually I will update the BIOS to the latest version, so download the latest version with another computer, put it on the USB, and using the BIOS, there is a setting to update the BIOS from in here. So it makes it quite easy now with the UEFI BIOS system. Alright, so to get your XMP enabled, just apply changes and restart. Here too, you'll probably be changing this to your USB, or you can use your escape or F10, whichever button is for your boot options, so you can choose your USB, which they don't have the option here. Now here, well, you can install quite a bit of things. Why it makes you restart every time, I don't know, but this would be a good tool to see if everything's working good. You can run kind of like bots that'll stress your CPU and your GPU as well as the power, and see if all your temperatures stay. Now everything's running at 100%. Now you don't need to do this, it's just to see if everything's staying in the correct. There you go, it turned off. Now usually you'd also do Windows Update. Probably be the first thing you do. There's this nice little utility here. It'll show you what you can run and how you can run it, how well you can run it. Now again, we made this pretty strong, so even if it says you can't run it at 4K, you probably still will be able to. especially when you're only missing 1 gig. Alright, so a little customization here. Actually, I'll just show you right away what it looks like now. It's pretty nice. So, to finish it off, I'll just quickly do a customization, match everything up. Yeah, it's a pretty expensive build. Definitely not affordable by me, but anyway. Yeah, that's about it. It's kind of hard to get everything because you can't really show exact ways you were doing it, or you not installing the OS and all the updates and all that, but that's basically it. Hopefully that was a good presentation, and thanks for watching.